you recording, Michelle?
You ready?
You are?
Recording. You ready?
Huh?
Go for it.
Can you hear him?
Doesn't matter.
Check one, check. You're all leaning in a little bit, so.
I know how to point.
Yeah, that's
I know how
good.
to point.
That's good.
Okay.
You're a pointer.
I'm a pointer. Okay. You ready to go?
let's
Let me
go.
do this part.
All right, you got it. Take
'cause then
control. Yeah, just.
It looks too self-serving.
It does. It does. It does.
Oh, we're live? Okay. All right. You ready? Here we go.
Streaming the planet right now.
Right here. A little closer. Am I that? That? Okay, right there. And Billy?
Check, 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 check.
Okay, cool. Ready?
I already did it. Yeah.
All right.
I guess we've been live.
We're rocking.
Hey everybody, this is Brian with BackStage360. I'm sitting here with Mr. Billy Stokes. Billy, thanks for being here, buddy.
Thank you, brother. Glad to be here.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for serving. I know you're ex-Army, and I want to thank you for that. And thank you for your time. And I know that you've got a project dear to your heart. And let's start there if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. I took the time to write a 16-song album. Actually, there is one cover tune on the disc. It's a Rob.
Wait a minute, I got a shameless prop. Hold on a second.
Okay. Oh, here we go. You got a copy.
I saw him just do another interview, and they did this, so I thought I'd do the same thing. So this is the album.
Right.
So tell us about it.
Well, it is a 16-song body of work. It is. It has one cover tune, the last song, Robin Trower's Twice Removed from Yesterday. Aside from that, it's 15 original songs that I wrote, the music, the lyrics, and it has a number of what you would call high-profile guest guitar players.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the artists on the album.
Okay, well, Frank Marino. Frank Marino of Mahogany Rush is a iconic, legendary, what can you say, rock guitar player.
Absolutely.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
And if you are involved in rock and roll, you know who Frank Marino is. Or you better know. If you don't know, then you need to go back to school.
Well, for a lot of people, maybe the name doesn't ring a bell, but Mahogany Rush certainly has to.
You see that sometimes I'll put out the name Frank Marino and I'll realize, well, you know, Mahogany Rush, and then a lot of people will respond to that. But aside from that, he just is a phenomenal, beautiful guy, talent, songwriter, and as far as I'm concerned, he's a philosopher. I actually had the pleasure of going up to stay with him for about a week up in Montreal, and kind of got to know the man, and it was very intriguing. You know, he's sort of like the anti-rock star. You know, he's not.
You kind of have to be if you live in Canada, though, don't you?
I do believe you're right. I mean, just to endure the snow up there alone, you know, it's probably why he has long hair to wrap himself in it, you know, kind of like a fur, you know. But no, so Frank Marino is on the album. He actually helped arrange. He's the one guest artist that actually put his hands under the hood and helped arrange the tune in question, which is called The Beast. And he just was fascinating in how he applied his skills in the studio to do that. And what he showed me is his prowess in today's recording, which is hard disk recording, computers. And so he showed me a thing or two on what is possible from where he sat, you know, so...
Now you brought him pretty much out of retirement.
Well, he'll tell you that. That's his words, not mine. And I think he felt reinvigorated. I think he felt inspired, and maybe the military or the veteran sort of component of what I'm about may have helped lead him into that circumstance. But I really. I was very thrilled to have him agree to it, and fantastic.
Well, for fans of his, he literally did disappear for years, though, and so you were able to get him out of retirement for some reason.
Well, he, as far as I'm concerned, at the height of his sort of success, lot of observers say, wow, you know, he just kind of walked away from some of it in some ways. And I think after getting to know him, it's kind of like I understand why some of the goings on in the industry really turned him off, because he's a man of integrity. And I suppose at some point he just got to a point where he couldn't take some of the fashion and pomp and fizz and BS and showbiz. But he really is an artist. But I suppose, you know, saying that I'm the one who brought him back to some activity is, I don't know if that's misleading or not. I don't want to take credit for that, because there's a lot of guitarists who tout Frank Marino as one of their influences. Zach Wilde is a big Frank Marino fan. A lot of people are name check him as their inspiration, you know.
Well, the album is called Muscle and Blood, and in addition to him, you have a couple other artists that are on this album.
Oh boy, do we. Well, one of them is Pat Travers.
Who, by the way, I guess I should mention, we are at a show in Oceanside, California, and for the last 2 nights we've been covering Pat Travers, and did an interview with him last night, which will be available also on this issue, so please check that out. But yeah, so Pat's here tonight, and in fact he's over there in the corner. I don't know if you can hear guitar over there. Can you hear a little guitar over there a little bit?
Over there, you might. Yeah.
But maybe if I
That's
point
Pat
over there.
warming up.
But Pat's over there playing right now, so he's on the album.
He's on the album for 2 songs, Firestorm and Money Slave. Very good work by Pat. He really put his all into it and was kind enough to participate on 2 of the songs. And I'm just thrilled, because he's another uber talent. He's just, you know, I'm searching my soul to become a songwriter. I'm trying to figure it out, as are most musicians who want to be recording artists. So he's another person I look to for inspiration.
But that's an interesting thing you just said. You're searching to become this songwriter, yet you've somehow managed to surround yourself, and on this album you have some outstanding artists. So there must have been something in the album that they saw, or the cause, or something else was there that they wanted to contribute to.
You make a good point, and maybe that's the ultimate teacher is, you know, the higher power himself, because I think this album was born of an honest sort of impulse, if you will. I was by myself, and I just kind of sat back and tried to listen to my own voices, musical voices, and I think when you can do that, if you can get it out of you, maybe others recognize that. Honesty. I would like to hope there's honesty and depth.
Well, the other thing that's interesting about it, so this is your first album, and what's interesting about it, it's not an EP. It basically could almost be a double LP.
16 songs, I guess you would say. There's a lot of material. And as Les Dudek said, he said, you know, 16 songs. He said, that's a lot. I said, explain that. He goes, well, you know, you got to be careful about shooting your whole wad. You know, you got this stuff in you, and maybe be careful on how much you give out, because it's that precious. A song, a great or good song, is like a jewel or something. You know, I mean, you could name check 1,000 songs that are just. You know, Hotel California or whatever it is. When you do birth one of these types of tunes, it does take something out of you. You're giving. I think you're giving.
Well, I saw a review on the album, and I haven't had the fortune of being able to listen to it myself yet, but I saw a review on it. It said basically solid, classic, heavy riffs. So what can people expect on this album? Obviously, you have the artistry in the album, but what can they expect? How do you phrase this music that's on there?
That's a good analogy, is solid riff rock, but really I think it's just a whole bunch of my influences. I think it sounds like Michael Schenker, Pat Travers, all these influences of mine, but it's interesting. I'll have other people say, that sounds like Aerosmith. And I would have thought something otherwise. So I think everybody has a filter, but I think what you're going to hear is I'm not reinventing the wheel. It's just
Retro classic rock.
I'd say if you want to call it classic rock, it's classic rock in real time. It's now. These tunes were, conceived relatively recently.
So where was this recorded, or how was it all put together? You got people all over the country collaborating on it. How was this put together?
This was done in Tucson, Arizona, and I should really give a shout out to the guys who really helped get this thing going. It was Jim Pavette of Illusion Studios in Tucson, which is Tucson's premier commercial recording studio, and he's probably the most touted engineer, and he helped produce the album. So I had called him and said, let's do an album. He said, well, I'm going to get you Barry Sparks, and Barry Sparks is just a whiz. He's a fascinating talent. He's a bass player. He got his wings with Yngwie Malmsteen. He was picked up by Yngwie Malmsteen, at the beginning of his career, and then Michael Schenker, Ted Nugent, Whitesnake, lots of success. He's in Japan's largest, most successful band as we speak, the Bees. 85,000 people at their shows, just unbelievable shows. But back to making of the album, Jim had said, I'll get you Barry Sparks, and I said, well, I'm going to step my game up now, and went into the studio, my own studio, with the intention of shaping these songs that I think would work well with Barry Sparks. His history with Michael Schenker is rock and roll. When you talk Michael Schenker and Aerosmith and Frank Marino and Pat Travers, it's a certain thing.
Well, I know you were talking to one of our writers, Michelle, earlier, and you're from originally, or spent a considerable amount of time in Germany. Now, what was the music that you were listening to back in Germany? Was these still the influences, Mahogany Rush and things that you were listening to?
It was always the same influences with me. I took a pack of my music, Tommy Bolin, Sabbath, Deep Purple, the Americans, Pat Travers, Aerosmith, ZZ Top, Skinner. I transported all that with me and tried to preach the gospel of that to everybody I came in contact with, And so I was in the Army, and if you went by my...
You weren't stationed in Germany, were you?
Yeah, I was locked away in the 3rd Infantry Division like a monk, but I had my stereo with me, and I had the albums with me, and every chance I got, that's what was booming out of my barracks, was snorting whiskey and drinking, that's right, cocaine, and it was just, I've always, I still listen to this stuff. I'm still trying to pick it apart. I'm open to new stuff. I love anything. If it sounds good, it is good. So.
Well, I honestly haven't heard it yet. I actually tried to do it today when I found out we were going to be speaking a little bit. And so, to be honest, anybody watching this interview, since I haven't heard it, I guess the only way you're going to be able to tell if it's any good is you're going to have to go out and get it. That's as simple as that, right?
That's a good ploy if ever there was.
There you go. You like the way I got that plug in there?
I like that. I like you, man. So we're gonna work.
So let's talk about how people can get it. So they can get it on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon, iTunes, anywhere you think you could get a CD or a download. BillyStokes.com. You'll see it there. It's as simple as that. And if you wanted to, social media, you could instant message me. I'll get you one. But aside from that, we're going to put a band together and take it out and get it disseminated through the route you see these days, which is live music, live playing.
Is there going to be any type of tour arrangement to go out and get and promote the album at all from that standpoint?
Absolutely. It's been a little bit slow getting started, but I'm being very particular about who's going to play, on stage. People like Barry Sparks are on the album, and I would love to have this level of musicians be available to me. But that, these guys are out. He's, like I said, he's out in Japan, so I am in the process of putting together a band that I think will be do the album justice and do the guest artist justice as well. Who knows? Maybe some of them will come and play.
You're doing another thing that's close to my heart, and that is you're working with the Wounded Warriors. And we were talking earlier about a bike ride that we cover every year. It's called the May Ride. And we were talking about that, and you've got something in mind for that. Roughly, where do you go with that, and what are you planning on with Wounded Warriors?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it dawned on me at some point that there's a lot of connectivity here with the Harley riders and the Freedom military, and I thought, recently I was approached by people who put on these bike runs, and they said, hey, let's do these bike runs and have them culminate in a rock and roll concert at the end of the bike run. I said, that's a custom fit for getting something like this going. You've got the people out on their bikes during that particular day, and there you have it. Time to go to a rock and roll concert. And I think we're gonna be able to work together with some of your contemporaries and the people you work with.
Oh, you can count us in. We're going to talk after this interview, and there's a lot of connections that I think we can work on together. Again, it's a cause close to my heart, and any way we can be involved, we're honored to.
Well, we're so thrilled, and this is how it works. People helping people getting together, and it ultimately, in this case, helping the veterans, and they need the help. They need the help. I mean, you got 22 suicides a day. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Absolutely. Well, Billy, thank you so much for this time. Once again, the album is called Muscle and Blood, and since we don't know what it sounds like, you're just going to have to go and buy it. This has been Brian from BackStage360. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Billy.